organic, unpredictable, unknown, lovely, beautiful, a sense of fulfillment. This is part of the pleasures of life and not the chores of life.
Coming up on Daily Iowan TV, Joni Ernst takes the big screen. Find out what the new Iowa senator has to say about President Obama's State of the Union address last night.
And see how one Iowa City school is making history.
And in sports,
we'll hear from women's head basketball coach Lisa Bluter and squad before they take on Michigan.
We've got all that and more coming up next.
You're watching Daily Iowan TV.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle Nago.
And I'm Mary Caldwell.
New Iowa Senator Joni Ernst took the spotlight last night following President Obama's State of the Union address, but her response on behalf of the Republican Party wasn't really much of a response. Instead, Ernst said she wanted to have a conversation about the newly elected Republican majority in the Congress. She hit on key talking points about the Keystone XL pipeline and challenged the Affordable Care Act. She also said that if the president cooperates with Congress, they can work together to create jobs and lower taxes. She emphasized that she comes from a small Iowa farm town and didn't have much money growing up in an effort to demonstrate that the American dream is alive and well.
UI President Sally Mason may not be leaving the UI after she resigns. We mentioned last night that the State Board of Regents accepted her retirement, but that she will be staying with the university. We'd like to clarify that she will become President Emeritus and a tenured professor after she retires. Mason currently has a salary of over $500,000 and will still make over $300,000 after retirement. She said at a press conference that she hasn't ruled out teaching. The Board of Regents is now conducting a national search to find the next UI president. We'll have more on this in tomorrow's Daily Iowan TV newscast.
If you rely on taxis to get around Iowa City, the next ride you take may be a bit different. Changes to the ordinance governing taxis were debated at last night's City Council meeting. Daily Iowan TV's Frank Rotella has more on what the council had to say.
Last night, Iowa City Council members considered a number of changes to the rules taxi companies and their drivers must abide by, including having universal IDs for all drivers, ensuring every taxi in their fleet has uniform colors and markings, and not picking up more customers once they're already transporting a fare. City Council members say the new policies will help keep customers safe, but some in the industry turned out here last night to say that the changes will hurt their business. Cabbie Adil Adams takes issue with taxis from a given company all having to be marked the same, a measure policymakers believes will make them easier for police to identify.
And coloring the cars, all this costs us money.
And taxi company owner Roger Bradley isn't pleased that his drivers wouldn't be able to pick up an additional fare if they have a fare already, which the council thinks will stop the first customer from figuring out where other unrelated customers live.
One guy gets in the cab, says, on the way, I want to pick up a friend and go downtown with him. With this language, that's not going to be allowed.
After hearing these arguments, City Council members were unable to clarify the language of the updated ordinance. While they voted unanimously in favor of it, they believe it needs a bit of work and will consider it again before it goes into effect. Reporting from Iowa City, Frank Rotella, Daily Iowan TV.
Daily Iowan photographer Josh Housing started documenting racism after his own experiences on campus. He talked with 11 other students to hear their stories. We'll now turn it over to him in the Daily Iowan newsroom.
Hey guys, coming to you from the Photo Cube with the Daily Iowan. I'm here to talk about my new project, Colorless. Colorless is a portrait series that focuses on the racism and microaggressions that students of color face here at the University of Iowa. When I first started Colorless, I thought racism was something that only happened to me. I had convinced myself, because I was used to it, that it was just me and I was inciting these incidents. When I started my project, I got to meet a bunch of wonderful students that welcomed me into their homes, into their lives, and shared with me how racism happens to everyone and how they deal with it. Check it out tomorrow on the Daily Iowan. Back to you guys in the studio.
Be sure to check out the full project tomorrow at dailyiowan.com.
A water main broke in Coralville yesterday. Residents north of Interstate 80 are under a boil advisory. It's called a boil advisory because the city is advising people to boil water before drinking it or to drink bottled water until water samples are tested. The samples were sent in for testing yesterday, and it could take up to 48 hours to get the results. Water pressure has been restored in the area, and the city says the water is safe for bathing purposes.
Still to come on Daily Iowan TV, we have an update on the tragic investigation in the homicide of UI student Tong Xiao.
And in sports, we look back at the disappointing Iowa football season.
But you know, Michelle, did you realize that it was raining outside today?
Yeah, it was really gloomy, but you know what? I'm really happy that it's not that cold out.
Me too.
So let's toss it over to Megan Coble in the weather studio to see how the rest of the week is looking. Megan?
Well, guys, it looks like our spring weather may be coming to a halt. Tomorrow morning we'll kick off with temperatures below freezing, staying in the 20-degree range with partly cloudy skies. As we head into the afternoon, temperatures will slowly rise to the lower 30s, with potentially peaking at a high of 37 degrees. As we head into the later evening, temperatures will stay in the lower 30s. The weekend coming ahead will be a bit warmer than what we have been experiencing lately. Friday, we will see clear skies and partly cloudy on Saturday. Both days there will be a high in the 40s, but be ready to bring back your winter gear on Sunday. Although temperatures are high, there will be a strong wind and a 40% chance of snow. That's all I have in the weather studio. Back to you two at the desk.
Thanks, Megan. Newly released information indicates the death of Iowa State University student Tong Xiao was due to asphyxia, making it a homicide. Xiao is also believed to have stayed at the Budget Inn and Suites in Nevada, Iowa from September 5th to September 7th with a person of interest, Sheng-Ong Lee. Xiao was reported missing to the Ames Police Department on September 17th after friends and family had not heard from her since September 8th. At the time, Xiao was believed to be taking a trip to Minnesota to visit a friend. Her body was later discovered in the trunk of her car. The car was parked at the Dolphin Lake Point Enclave in Iowa City, where Lee resided in. Sheng-Ong Lee is still at large and is believed to have fled to China before police could talk to him. His whereabouts are still unknown.
An award that recognizes kindness in children around the world is coming to a school right here in Iowa City. Willow Winds Elementary School is the first to be recognized with the Newton Kindness Foundation Award, which was founded after the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in 2012. Though they are being awarded for their MLK Day community service efforts, Principal Paul Presley says that level of kindness is typical at Willow Wind.
Again, it's humbling. It really is. I think when you do it every single day, you forget how special it really is. And I think our kids, that really hit them when they recognized they were being awarded for doing something that is just commonplace. And I don't think they understand yet that traditional schools don't necessarily work like that.
The kids raised over $300 at a bake sale, brought toys to hospitalized children, and started a canned food drive. 2 student ambassadors will receive the award and speak on behalf of the school in Newtown, Connecticut.
Students looking to get off campus now have another route to take. Megabus announced their bus services are expanding to and from Davenport, the Quad Cities, Iowa City, Chicago, Des Moines, and Omaha, all effective today. Megabus picks up travelers on Dubuque and East Court Street in Iowa City. The New England Patriots gave us Spygate. Now we might have Deflategate. The NFL is investigating why 11 of the 12 footballs from the game hosted by the Patriots were underinflated. The Patriots won the game 45-7, so underinflated footballs were likely not the only factor in the win. But again, this isn't the first time the Patriots have been caught breaking the rules. In the 2007 scandal, now dubbed Spygate, the Patriots were disciplined for filming the Jets' defensive coach's hand signals during a game. The NFL is investigating the situation and has not announced punishment yet. Mary, I'm a big Patriots fan, so I'm hoping that punishment doesn't affect the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I can't imagine that it would. It doesn't seem like that would be a huge factor in the game. Bringing it back closer to home, we'll toss it over to our sports studio where Jalen Socek and Whitney Blakemore are standing by for an update on Hawkeye sports.
Thanks, ladies. The women's basketball team will be taking on the Michigan Wolverines in Carver Hawkeye Arena Thursday night. But before we get to that, men's hoops unable to pull the upset against the 6th-ranked Wisconsin Badgers.
That's right, Jalen. The Hawks fell to the Wisconsin Badgers in a blowout fashion Tuesday night in Madison, with the final score being 82-50. The Badgers drained 9 3-pointers and hand Iowa their second Big Ten loss of the season.
Junior Jared Utoff made 12 points against his former school, and sophomore Trey Dickerson also getting into the action, coming off the bench to account for 8 points.
The Hawks will see the Badgers one more time when they'll host them at Carver Hawkeye Arena January 31st.
However, the women's basketball team faring a little bit better in Big Ten play after a tough-fought win in East Lansing, Michigan this past Sunday. The team looks to improve their 10-0 record in Carver Hawkeye Arena against the Michigan Wolverines Thursday night.
And sitting down with the media on Tuesday, head coach Lisa Bluter said the Michigan matchup won't be an easy one.
Michigan playing very well right now. I thought that they'd be down a little bit this year because they lost so much last year. But they have 3 seniors now that have played very well. They have a freshman that's playing extremely well that doesn't start for them but comes in right away at point guard. And she's averaging 15 points a game. You have a center averaging a double-double. That's always nice. Michigan is playing very good basketball.
Even though the team has been known this season to score in high digits, they've learned recently that it's not enough to be just an offensively sound team.
We played really great defense and we rebounded them. That's something that, usually we don't do. So that gives us a lot of confidence going into the next couple games that we don't have to always score to win games, that defense really isn't the most important.
Bluter also stressing that in Big Ten play, they have to make the most of every possession.
When we talk about possessions all the time, how important extra possessions are. We just have a great example of that with our Michigan State game. It comes down to a possession to win the game, a single possession. And so every possession, we talk about every rebound is worth a point, and try to put it into an offensive mindset like that, whether it's an offensive or defensive rebound. Every rebound converts basically to a point if teams are shooting 50%.
The Hawkeyes get the advantage as they'll play their next 2 games on their home court tomorrow night and Monday night against 16th ranked Nebraska.
The Iowa football season started with promise with a favorable schedule, but ended in disappointment. We went back and looked at some of the highs, but mostly the lows of the 2014-2015 season.
We're always setting team goals, which is a Big Ten championship. So, we start camp next week, and we just got to start from the basics.
This is my last year, we lost 2 trophy games. That really hurts me being my last year. But we got some good games ahead of us, and it can still be a good year.
For us to be able to just come out on our last away game of the regular season, be able to do it and get the win, that's all we wanted and exactly what we did. And we're excited. We're proud to have that success, but we expect more.
All I know is we came up short last week. We came up short today. Against 2 teams I think are pretty good teams, and I think both teams competed hard last week and this week, and that's football. But you can't move backwards, and so if there's any feeling or talk of us not being affected by it, that's ridiculous. Anybody that's ever competed, I think, would understand. We're disappointed, and we want to do better. For us, it's disappointing. A lot of things that showed up cost us today, and the bottom line is that we got a great group of young guys and 16 seniors that just finished up, so I feel bad for every guy in the locker room, obviously, especially our seniors. But it's part of football, and we'll get up tomorrow and move forward. But the bottom line is this: I really believe we got good people in this program, coaching staff-wise, support staff-wise, and player-wise. We've got quality people here, and our job moving forward is to make sure that we utilize those people in the best possible way we can. Since we got here, our goal has been to be Big Ten champions and to be the best we can be in everything that we do. The highs and lows come and go, and what you do to come out of those low periods, that's what's really important.
The Hawks may have finished the season with a 7-5 record, but in the words of Kirk Ferentz, that's football.
That'll wrap this Wednesday's program. On Thursday, we'll be bringing back our Mat Side Show.
We'll take you inside the wrestling program before they take on the Northwestern Wildcats Friday night inside Carver Hawkeye Arena.
Mary and Michelle, back to you at the desk.
Only with Daily Iowan TV can you get an inside look at tomorrow's pages of the Daily Iowan. Want to learn Korean? Read about what the UI is doing to make that possible.
And find out how close Mayflower is to completing their flood construction. That's all we have for you tonight on Daily Iowan TV. Be sure to tune in tomorrow night, same time, same place. I'm Mary Caldwell.
And I'm Michelle Nago.
Thanks for watching and have a great night.